Palpatine, one of the most powerful Sith, yet one of the most hated by earlier Sith, such as Darth Bane, as a Force ghost. Of course, Palpatine was indeed created by the Force, but also had a mother and father. What happened to his father, we were revealed to in the book Darth Plagueis by James Luceno. As powerful as Palpatine became, he was family to one of the richest families in the galaxy, the Palpatine family. Palpatine hated his first name, so only went by Palpatine, and his first name was basically erased. He was the best student in his college, loved pod racing, his family was very rich, and his life was going very well. Although one thing about him that differed from every other student in his college was his hunger for power, the ability to rule and control, and most importantly, the Force, the dark side of the Force that dwelled within him. So back to the Darth Plagueis book, which I will be doing many videos on in the future. In the Darth Plagueis book, Darth Plagueis pretended to be a rich Mun, which is a species called Magister Damask. It's incredible though how no one realized it was actually not Magister Damask because Muns all look very similar. Magister Damask was the owner of Damask Holdings, a trading company in the Star Wars galaxy before, in the earlier days of the Republic. Plagueis was able to use Magister Damask's relationships to find an apprentice. This led him to Palpatine. He got to know Palpatine, giving us more backstory of Palpatine, as I was talking about earlier in this video. Such as Palpatine with Anakin and Snoke with Ben Solo, Plagueis slowly manipulated Palpatine to release his inner power as a Sith. After Palpatine met Plagueis, or Magister Damask, he spent lots of time with Plagueis. His father began to dislike that his son is hanging out with Magister Damask a whole lot. Palpatine's father managed to limit how much time Palpatine spent with Darth Plagueis, but that didn't stop them. He even traveled to another planet, and Palpatine and Plagueis still had off-world communications, this being, of course, holograms. Even that his dad monitored. Palpatine wanted his father off his back and knew that his father wouldn't and doesn't allow Magister Damask and him to hang out. He can't say anything about it. As Palpatine says, "I won't allow it." So they had to get rid of him, and Plagueis managed to convince him to kill him, but without him not knowing, if you know what I mean, with all the Sith manipulation stuff with Anakin Skywalker, So this took place on Naboo when the Palpatine family is boarding their starship. The guard doesn't allow Palpatine in because his father didn't allow it, and told the guard that Palpatine is removed from the ship list and to not let him in. The guard decided to let Palpatine in, where he met up with his father. His dad decided to change the course for Kamel Minor, but Palpatine needed to do his university courses for college and youth programs, but his dad set it up so he could meet with Janice, who I think is his teacher, but I'm not so sure, and he changed the course when he was on the ship with Palpatine, so he didn't know. Palpatine brought up that it's about Palpatine's relationship with Ego Damask, who's really Plagueis, which is when their argument starts to get pretty crazy. His father states that Damask is only using him for means of security and what the Palpatine family has in mind for the election of Naboo. Kosinga, or Palpatine's father, and Palpatine begin to argue of Palpatine's relationship with Plagueis and how he's a good man or not. This argument then turned into an argument over Palpatine and Kosinga's relationship as a father and son. Kosinga said that he didn't even know where or who Palpatine came from, although he even tested his blood, and he is from Kosinga. He is Palpatine blood. He's from the Palpatine family. They talk about Palpatine wanting to kill Kosinga all his life, finally admitting it, gambling on whether Palpatine would actually kill his father or not. I'll quote this scene word for word now. Kosinga took a step in Palpatine's direction, only to be hurled back against the bulkhead separating the communications room from the main cabin. A female voice from behind the closed hatch asked in distress, "What was that?" Nursing an injured shoulder, Kosinga looked suddenly like a trapped animal, his eyes wide with surprise and fear. He made a move to strike the hand plate that opened the hatch, but Palpatine thwarted his effort without raising a finger. Twisting violently around, Kasinga fell over one of the acceleration chairs, bloodying his face as it struck the armrest. A pounding began on the hatch. "Guards!" Kasinga shouted, but the word had barely left his lips when the bulkhead against which he was slouched buckled inward, heaving him face first to the floor and driving the breath from him, unquote. So this shows how Palpatine already is through the Force, where he doesn't even have to lift his finger to throw an object. And at this point, his father Kasinga isn't dead yet, but is beat up. And in Return of the Jedi, we saw that he also didn't have to lift a finger to release Luke's handcuffs. So he could do that all along from when he first used the Force. After this scene, the guard is thrown into the room. Later, after Palpatine killed his father, he joined together with Plagueis later, where he learned that Plagueis was using him, but when they met up, it states that Plagueis saw Sith yellow eyes inside of Palpatine. Now, a true Sith. We didn't get to see the scene, but we did get to hear Palpatine tell Plagueis of how he killed them. Palpatine raises his clawed hands and states, "I executed them with these, and with the power of my mind. I became a storm, Magister, a weapon strong enough to warp bulkheads and hurl bodies across cabin spaces. I was death itself." When Palpatine said this, we as readers kind of worked out and finished the scene of how Palpatine killed his father. He said that he became a storm. That means that when Palpatine first used the Force, he was already able to summon Force lightning. How crazy is that? Most Sith can't even do that until possibly decades after they start their training. After this, Plagueis basically did some more usual Sith manipulations, or more like encouraging Palpatine to become his apprentice and use his powers instead of bottling them up inside of him. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said, I will be doing more videos on this book in the future. And as always, may the Force be with you.